So the next section I want to talk about is the nutrition and lifestyle portion. So sometimes these are going to be separated with your prompts. Other times they're going to be incorporated together because they do work together when it comes to our interoceptive uh, awareness and also our intuitive eating. So that is one of our key things that we're using is the 10 principles of intuitive eating, and I'm going to get a little bit more into that in the first couple of weeks, especially with the mindset portion. But the top three right now are what we're going to focus on throughout the program. We'll incorporate little elements here. I'll have challenges that work in all of the elements at some point, but the top three of our 10 principles. Number one, reject the diet mentality. So this is when we're releasing that sense of restriction and that sense of, oh, I can't eat this, I can't eat that, all right? I can't stress this enough, guys. If you go into this controlled eating patterns thinking, oh, it's just intermittent fasting, if you have the fasting mentality, especially if you have a negative already have a negative connection with that, whether it be your past experiences with fasting or just other people's experiences with fasting, we negatively connect something to the word fasting or dieting, and that's what I want you to completely get rid of. All right, and that is your choice. I can't take that from you. All right, I can't just be like, all right, I'm gonna take that mentality. You have to release that, and that is your choice. If you decide not to do that, I honestly can't do anything for you. But that is the first step, is releasing and rejecting that diet mentality. And it's not something that's going to be gone forever. There are going to be times when you have those negative reactions. I talk about in my, I think it's stress podcast, on Raw Reflections, and it's about how our amygdala in our brain connects negative, stress responses, stress responses when we diet or when we restrict our bodies, and we have that stress about, oh no, I'm restricting my body, so my sugar, my glycogen levels aren't going to be there. No, I'm going to show you how to do this. I don't want you to come in with anxiety and be like, oh no, I don't know all the information right now. I need you to release that mentality of dieting, of restrictive, tarnished view of, rather than serving our bodies, restricting our bodies. So that is your goal for the first week, especially, is to just reject that diet mentality. All right. The next one is to honor your hunger. All right. And this is kind of an odd one because you're like, well, aren't you trying to not eat? No, guys, I'm not focused on a caloric deficit here. Okay. That's not what my focus is. Yes, when you have a caloric deficit, you're going to lose weight. However, I want to show you how to do this in a healthy way to where you enjoy food more rather than allowing it to be something that you just can't control or you don't know what to do with. Okay. So honoring your hunger, understanding, and that's where that interoceptive awareness comes in, is understanding what hunger feels like versus what satisfaction feels like versus what fullness feels like. All right, our goal is to eat to the point of satisfaction, not to the point of fullness. All right, so if we're using the same gradated scales we do for our heart rate, one is going to be that point where we're getting a little hungry. It's not hunger pains, but it's we're getting a little bit hungry. And then 5 is that point of fullness, and we want to get to about a 2.5 to a 3 there in our scope of fullness or satisfaction. All right, we don't want to be full because nobody really likes the feeling of overeating, right? A lot of times when we overeat, it's because we filled our plate and we decided to finish the plate. That's typically why we finish our plate. It's out of that sense of, oh, I have to do this because da da da. We always find an excuse. All right, but if you take half of your meal before you start eating it, or start eating on smaller plates and decide to finish that, and if you are still hungry, then you can go back. But if you are forced to stop and take a minute and say, am I still hungry, or am I just wanting to eat more? Stopping and asking yourself that question. Or even when you're tempted to snack or you're having cravings in the evening, asking yourself, am I hungry, or do I just want to eat? Am I eating because I'm emotional? Am I eating because I need to process certain emotions and I don't want to process those emotions? And we're gonna talk a little bit more into that as well. It's part of our connection with the lifestyle and the nutrition is understanding what emotions we're avoiding feeling, and we're eating instead, or we're not eating instead. Some of us have the reverse reaction there. And then our last one is going to be making peace with food. And that comes into play when we're addressing the issue of punishing our bodies with exercise because we ate food. All right, I'm not telling you that you will never be able to eat a donut again, or cake, or whatever. The joy of controlled eating patterns and intuitive eating is that you can listen to your body. There are going to be times when your body is craving carbohydrates because maybe your thyroid isn't balanced correctly, or maybe your workouts have been really hard and your body just needs some extra carbohydrates, and you've been decreasing your carbs. Listening to your body and understanding what it means and feels like to need more carbs, all right? And I'm going to teach you how to grow in tune with that, okay? And it's going to be one thing at a time. You're going to be implementing one action at a time, or maybe it's 3 actions for the entire week, and maybe it's something that you're still working towards for several months. That one thing that you've struggled with for your entire weight loss journey may be the thing, that obstacle that you have to work through on a continuous basis, and that's why you have accountability, all right? There are going to be obstacles that stay there for a very long time, or maybe forever. My gluten intolerance may never go away, all right? There may never be a day that I can eat peanuts or soy, because for some reason those also affect me. Who knows? Maybe I'll get to eat nuts, peanuts, or almonds, or whatever one day. Who knows? But the goal in these top 3 of the 10 principles of intuitive eating are going to help us to address some of those common things that cause us to overeat, or to eat, or to have negative experiences with dieting. And it's going to help us to reestablish, or establish for the first time, a sense of control over what we're eating and how we're serving our bodies. So do you see how that mentality is totally shifted? And that's the big thing with this mindset portion. And that's a reason why we're going to recover some of this stuff at the top of every month as a reminder to be able to pinpoint, okay, my mindset on this has gotten really negative. My mindset has gotten really restrictive. I've started cutting down my carbohydrates. I've started, I get hungry a little bit easier. But if you're listening to your body, then, and you're in tune with your body, then you understand those things. You have that sense of control, and therefore you feel that you are moving forward a lot faster, because you're seeing those emotional, those mental goals being, or those emotional and mental benefits happening as you are seeing your weight loss starting to happen. All right, so all of it works together, and I know it's a lot to take in. Trust me, guys, I've been trying to wrap my head around this and consolidate it for the last 2 years, and there is a lot there, and that's the reason why I'm being very adamant about, the longer that you work with me, the more you're going to see results. Because if I keep the memberships open month to month so that you don't feel that sense of restriction. It is your choice whether you want to stay or go, and I want it to be your choice every month, and that's why we're reestablishing every month that mindset. Because if you already understand that when you go into a new month, we're going to reestablish that mindset. That's always going to be a challenge. If that's not okay with you, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You have the option to leave. You have the option to not come back next month, all right? But if that's something you need, that's something you feel is going to benefit you, then you're going to come back and you're going to expect that every month, and it's going to help you stay in that cycle of growing in our interoceptive awareness in every element of our bodies, growing in awareness and understanding why our bodies are working the way they are, why our digestive systems are processing, or in the opposite case, not processing food the way that we need them to accomplish our goals. All right? So, establishing we've got those 10 principles of intuitive eating, that feeling of, understanding our cravings and what emotions we may not be addressing and eating instead, or boredom, eating instead, and then taking ownership of making peace with food and allowing ourselves to show grace to the actions that may not have benefited our weight loss, but aren't necessarily keeping up. We didn't gain 2 pounds overnight because of that one donut. If you ate an entire dozen of donuts, I cannot tell you for sure you will not gain 2 pounds of water weight overnight, because you might be backed up for a couple of days. But you ultimately have control, so you have the choice. And you have the choice to decide that you are going to eat a donut, and then maybe the next day you decrease your carbs a little bit. I love to do that when I allow myself a treat, or I'm like, you know what, I want ice cream tonight. And if I decide that I want ice cream, I acknowledge, hey, I'm not hungry for ice cream. I'm not necessarily hungry right now, but I would like a treat. Then I get a portion of ice cream, and I know what's in it. I try to get the not processed sugar and all that stuff. I try to get the small amount, right? And I try to get the healthier ice cream. But ultimately, for then, I'm rewarding myself, and that's going to be good for my mental health. So it is still benefiting me in a way. And ultimately, you can make exceptions like that and all the time, every single day, and you will never see results because you continue to just, it's more of a cop-out than anything. This is a sense of responsibility. I'm taking responsibility for my actions. I'm choosing to eat this, even though it may not be healthy or it may not be veggies, but that's okay because I want to eat this, and I'm serving my body by allowing myself this treat. All right, going in with that mentality rather than being like, oh my God, I hate myself, I'm gonna binge this. Understanding why you're doing something, establishing control over the situation, and understanding that you have the choice to take action towards or away from what you know you need to do or what you think you need to do. All right, so ultimately you have the control, but you need to address the responsibility element as well. So if you decide to have a treat every single night of the week and it is messing up your eating pattern or your just what you're eating, or maybe it's messing up your gut, and that's something that I've mentioned many times to you, you can't come back to me and say, Ariel, this is your fault. You told me I could eat whatever I wanted. No, I did not. I'm telling you now, if you decide to eat donuts every single day, you are probably not going to see the results that you want. If you decide to have a donut every, once in a blue moon because it's a treat, that's not going to kill your progress, all right? If you decide to have a mixed drink, or you decide to have some ice cream, or you decide to go out to dinner, and maybe you eat a little bit more than you plan to, and you're feeling full, but I don't want you to beat yourself up and go throw up in the bathroom because you hate yourself for eating that. It's addressing that positive relationship with food so that we don't have those negative responses and we don't binge eat because of emotions. We're establishing the sense of, I understand why I'm eating this. I understand what emotion I'm avoiding feeling. If you choose to avoid that emotion with food, then you still made the choice. You still had the control over that situation, all right? I talk about this a lot in my podcast, Taking Your Power Back, and it's a really big topic that I'm going to cover throughout this program. So I hope that it gives you a little bit of understanding into the nutritional element of things. I'm going to try to edit these videos down to make them as short as possible. So I hope you guys, if you guys have any questions, please do not be afraid to email me, text me, message me. Text is probably my best way to text, or Facebook message is probably my easiest method of quick response. And I wish you guys the very, very best in this first week. We're going to take it slow, and I don't want you to feel overwhelmed at all. So take a deep breath, and we're going to get into the step-by-step.